Welcome back. I'm sorry for that slightly longer than expected break. We were waiting for some people to come back. We'll probably interrupt now we've started. Our next interviewee this evening is Richard Kilpatrick. Hello, Richard.
Hello.
So Richard, can you tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, my name is Richard Kilpatrick. I'm the local councillor here in Didsbury West, and I am the deputy leader of the opposition here in Manchester.
Oh right, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. You look incredibly young. How old are you?
I mean, I look a little bit older than I did when I was first elected. I'm starting to get the wrinkles and my ginger hair starting to go a bit more sandy over stress. But I'm 27, which is, I'm probably one of the youngest, or I'm not the youngest councillor in Manchester. I'm certainly the youngest Liberal Democrat in Manchester, which is still something I'm very proud of.
That's very good. Well, I know you've got John Leach with you. I don't think he's your guard as such, is he? But,
no, he's just here to make sure I don't say anything silly.
Well, thank you very much for agreeing to come on.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the beginning of your young career, really. Because you were the first person to go to university in your family, is that right?
That's right.
And you read politics?
Yes.
Yeah. Why, age 18, did you want to go to university first?
Do politics.
Yeah,
it's a strange thing, isn't it? I think anyone that's interested in politics is a bit strange to start off with. I think the first experience that I had with politics was really, really young. I mean, I don't come from a political family at all. Both my parents would have voted for the Labour Party because their father's father voted Labour and they never questioned it. And we never really had that conversation. It wasn't like a dinner table type thing. But I remember being really engaged with what was happening in the town that I grew up in. I'm from Middlesbrough in the northeast originally, and I was 14. This paints a slightly strange picture of myself at 14, but I'm going to continue on and tell you all about it anyway. And the centre of the town was demolished, part demolished, and people had been compulsory purchased out of their family homes, and they were being sold off at £1 a unit. And the standard of the housing side was awful, absolutely awful. I mean, you had holes in the ceiling, and water was coming through. There was damp, and there was water damage, and I remember looking at this and thinking, this is awful, something must be done about this. And a housing company had bought the houses for £1 a unit, about 300 of them, and partly rented them out to asylum seekers, brand new to the country, straight up from London, and partly to people from that town who had previously lived in those houses that had been forced out and now were renting back in the social housing sector. And I wrote to the local MP and the local councillors at 14, which is a strange thing to do, but I wrote to them and never received a response. And I received a response from one of the Labour councillors that basically said that it was part of a regeneration scheme and tough, basically, this is what happens, etc., etc. They'd run out of money, and then a really, really strange thing to do. I thought, let's escalate the issue. Let's go to the members of the European Parliament. Strange thing to do, but still. And I got a response off a Liberal Democrat MEP. Who actually came down to my town, and we went out, and she said, have you ever bothered to knock on their door and ask them? And I was like, I was 14. I was like, no, I'd never do that. But she was like, okay, well, let's go and knock on their door. So we knocked on the first door, and it was a single mum of two, and who lived always born in Middlesbrough, lived in Middlesbrough, and lived in this house, and she was really angry that next door had been allowed to live there, and that they were an illegal immigrant, and it was awful, and that people had been moved out, and she'd grown up in this area for years and years, and it was their fault that this had happened. And I was like, okay, genuine concerns from a place of real worry. And we knocked on next door, and the guy had a young family from Sudan, and he said, He used to work in medicine in Sudan, and he'd been forced out. He was an asylum seeker. He'd come to London. He was forced 250 miles up to the northeast coast, and he said, look, yeah, like, this house is crap. Like, there's water coming through the ceiling, it's awful. But I don't want you to say anything because I've got a roof over my head, and I don't want you to put this at risk. And they both had the same landlord. They both had the same problem. And it wasn't until, I got a response from a politician who said, okay, well, let's try and understand the issue, that I really got an understanding of what that community aspect of politics is, which is understanding the issue. And soon after that, I thought, okay, well, I need to get more involved. I need to join the party and do what I can in my community. And I think that's what drew me originally. And then I decided to take it up as an academic thing. And I was the first person to go to university. And my dad, I remember when I first saw my dad, I was doing politics at university. He was like, "What are you doing?" This guy's from Glasgow. He can't read or write, and he's randomly, weirdly proud about it. But he was saying, I used to make ships. He's like, I used to make ships. What are you doing? I'm like, yeah, that's a good point actually. I can't make a ship, but he desperately wanted me to get a trade and go a very traditional route. And when he realised I was interested in politics, it became like a little bit of an unknown topic to him. And we still don't really talk about politics, apart from a few years ago. He rang me up once, he just went, and I was expecting him to tell me that he'd voted for, some far-right group or something, and I was like, Dad, how did you vote? And he was like, oh, well, I voted Liberal Democrat, and I was like, all right, bloody hell, like, why did you do that? And he just went, well, I guess because, if you think about it, if you genuinely think that's the right thing, then it's probably right. And I was like, all right. That's probably the most heartwarming thing he's ever said, still to this day, actually. It's weird that I don't come from a political family, and normally when anyone speaks to anyone political, it's almost in their blood, and it certainly wasn't something that was in mine.
Well, Liz Truss, that very good MP, was a Liberal Democrat when she was at university, and her family voted Labour. So I just wondered, did you just automatically become a Lib Democrat because of the response you received from the MEP? Or had you actually researched it, particularly after you studied politics? I just wondered at that stage what the draw was. Did you look at the parties and go, that's the one that most reflects my personal interest? Or were you so impressed by?
I think there's an aspect of inspiration there, in that you see someone really make a mark in the community, or really, have that. They open the door a little bit on community politics, which is certainly an important part of my political ideology. But there is also the aspect of when I grew up in one of the most deprived parts of the United Kingdom, and politicians in general, like to talk about meritocracy as a good thing. And actually, I never really understood meritocracy as a good thing. I think meritocracy is great if you're already in the top 50% of society. I don't think we really can speak about the bottom 50%. And it was when I was studying politics and stretching and challenging myself, and coming from a relatively left-wing background as well, understanding what potential is, because both my parents used to work for the local authority. They used to work with kids with Down syndrome, and really early on, there was an influence there that said they used to support kids with Down syndrome creating their own businesses. So they helped with, they started with a drama group that was run by children with Down syndrome, who then went on to run the business themselves. And they really did reach their potential, and that's what my parents kept saying, is that they've reached their potential. So potential became a really big part of how I understand social mobility. And for me, social mobility is the reason that I joined the Liberal Democrats, because in my view, that centre ground, progressive focus on the individual and what that individual can achieve was a really big draw for me. And I know that's the utopia stuff.
But I think it's important for us, the main criticism we have nowadays about politicians are most of them don't have jobs, they've never been employed anywhere, and then they become politicians. So it's important to understand where you come from, where your ideology is. So let's fast forward to Didsbury. You're 27, living in Didsbury. You've got a girlfriend, as I understand it.
Believe it or not.
And no, it's not. You're entitled to one. But I just wanted to for you to talk us through sort of a typical day. You're leader of the opposition. What it's like being a young councillor in Manchester. You're Didsbury West. You're West. What's that like? And is the plan for you to become a fully fledged member of Parliament? What's your average day?
So I'll start with an average day. I'll start with today, actually.
I just want to get an impression, because I think, you've not knocked on my door, but if you knocked on my door, I say, oh God, which is my reaction.
No matter who it is.
No matter who it is, it doesn't matter. But I just wondered for you how you will receive when you go to campaigning.
We knock on a lot of doors. We probably get on everyone's nerves, so apologies in advance. But the average day is totally different every single day, which is actually an amazing part of the job, if you like. I think that being young and being a politician is harder, because you turn up to meetings and you're introduced as a councillor, and people expect this unfortunately white, old, balding, middle class look, and I mean I hit a lot of those categories, but it is strange for people to quite get the understanding that you're a local councillor and that you represent 15,000 electors, 15,000 population, just over 13,000 electors. And every day is very different. I mean, today, literally just today, we've been out doing our Christmas cards, so we deliver to every single household a Christmas card. And I met with a local business that's having a bit of an issue around it's a local bar on Burton Road. It will remain nameless, but trying to